I decided to venture into the indie game scene and have a look at some new or upcoming titles. It seems the ones I picked may have looked simple, either in design or concept, but they turned out to be tricky little titles. Released in April 2024 for Steam, published and developed by Golo Games, Halver has a super simplistic style, using lines and boxes within a blueprint world. Tutorials are written on the walls, and you have a little block fairy following you around, giving you words of wisdom when they think you need it. This is a puzzle game, with your main goal being to reach the end of the level by moving things around, shooting blocks to make them smaller, or just plan your jumps carefully. New mechanics are added slowly, making levels slightly harder purely through the developer's creativity. There's also little balls of light to collect, with a certain number in each level, just to add a little more challenge for your brain to take on. It might sound like an easy concept, but some of these puzzles are cheeky and can leave you laughing and smacking your forehead for not noticing something sooner. Halver is very deceptive, in a good way, making you think you're going to fly through the levels or there won't be much of a challenge from such a simple looking game. It's thoroughly enjoyable though, and you'll find yourself saying, just one more level, I can solve this thing. Released in December 2023 on Steam, developed and published by Igniting Spark Games, Striving for Light Survival is an action roguelite RPG, similar to Vampire Survivors with auto attacks and enemy hordes coming at you. You start off with two characters to pick from, one melee focused and one ranged. Then you pick weapons and skills to take with you. You can unlock more items by playing the game and completing challenges. In the dungeons, it's pretty standard stuff. Run around, try not to get hit by enemies, and pick up light fragments that drop. The biggest difference is that the fragments don't offer in-level upgrades, or instead take into a skill tree between levels to spend points. Any light fragments that are left on the level go towards spawning elites in the next one, adding an extra layer of difficulty and pressure to the game. So not only focusing on defeating mobs, you're also trying to pick up all the fragments so the next level doesn't have as many elite enemies to fight. The devs weren't playing around when they thought up the mechanics for this game. Released August 2024 on Steam, developed and published by Significant Stake. This is a casual strategy simulator where you create a factory to produce different materials and items. I thought this would be easy, as it just looks like a clicking game at first. Then it turns into balancing numbers. What I wasn't expecting was the production lines in the very simplistic layout. Planning which resource needed to be sent to a certain factory in order to create something, making sure the finished product had somewhere to be stored, not over or undersupplying a chain. It was exhausting after a while. I wasn't playing it right in the start, and it did take me a while to understand how everything worked, but once I figured out what I was doing, I ended up spending hours playing. Some of the biggest things I wish this game had was a little friendlier UI and less of a programming layout, but I get that it's the style for this kind of game. They could have made the tutorial a little more in-depth or detailed though. They do kind of teach you the obvious and then leave you to sort yourself out. This isn't for everyone, especially for those who need a little more information before they can get thrown into a new system. But if you're into games that need micromanaging, carefully balancing inputs and outputs, and just automating production lines, then this will be for you. Releasing in September 2024 on Steam, published and developed by JCO Games, GA is a roguelike RPG, running through dungeons, defeating enemies, and collecting all that glorious loot. We start with 3 different characters to pick from: King, who is melee, Sorcerer, who uses ranged magic, and Rogue, who uses bow and arrows. After playing each chapter, you can unlock more characters, and on the level select, you can pick between 2 choices, with their own bonuses and challenges. At first you might think, hey, this is just another Diablo-style game. It's easy. But man, you'd be wrong. About the easy part, that is. You're running around procedurally generated dungeons, with enemies who won't hold back trying to overwhelm you. The challenges make sure your runs are tricky, such as not being able to use healing potions, and your inventory is small at first, so you have to make some tough choices of what loot to drop. Aside from gold, you pick up different coloured orbs, which go towards upgrading skills in different trees whenever you have enough. These are only relevant to the character you're playing this run, and if they get defeated, you lose those perks. Between levels, you can visit the village and sell off old gear, buy new stuff, and spend gold orbs on permanent upgrades, which will apply to any character you play no matter how many runs you fail. I really loved GA! The art style is simple but fun, the combat is easy to learn and doesn't feel janky or unfair. The loot is varied and the level design is really well done. The only thing I disliked was the fixed camera, because sometimes I couldn't see the loot on the floor or enemies tucked behind corners, but it was still completely playable. Overall, a great little game to keep an eye out for. And it was made by one guy, so go buy it just for that impressive feat. Released in May 2024 on Steam and browser, developed and published by dank.game, Cakefoot sounds like a cute little indie gem where maybe you go on a dessert-themed adventure. Nope, this game is pure pain. If you want a challenge, play something else. If you want to feel pure, unadulterated, primal rage, play Cakefoot. After a few levels, I was honestly like, who hurt you? Who broke you into making this game? You might think I hate it, but I found it fun, and it was one of those one more time games, where I knew I could beat the level no matter how many times I had to restart. You're a little cake, with feet, following a line, picking up a coin and avoiding moving objects. There's one button to move forward, and when you let go of the button, you start to slide backwards. That's pretty much it. Press the button, avoid stuff, get to the end of the line. The more I played, the more frustrated I got, but I couldn't help but laugh at the pure contrast between the chilled out soundtrack and the rage-inducing gameplay. This isn't a game I'll be playing again, only because I'll be losing my mind obsessing over each level and trying to beat it. But I'd watch someone else play it. So there are a few indie games I tried out, with difficulty ranging from challenging to throw your PC out the window. Have you played any of these? Will you be getting any of them? If anyone completes Cakefoot, please record it so I can watch. Relatively stress-free. This was fun. Let's do it again sometime. And if you like what you saw, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like down below.